So the Patriots in the second round, they draft after taking a guard who most people hadn't heard of before the draft, trade up into the second round and draft Tyquan Thornton, a tall, skinny, blazing fast wide receiver from Baylor, who surprisingly wasn't even invited to the Senior Bowl, stood out at the Shrine Bowl. But Greg, this is a guy that I think you were higher on than most, that you were very intrigued by watching his film.
Very intrigued. I thought he was, along with Jameson Williams, the two most explosive vertical receivers in this draft class. And I thought his track speed showed up on tape. He got on top of, he ran by corners. He primarily, almost exclusively lined up on the outside. I thought that there was some physicality to the way he played, too, some toughness to him. He competed and played a lot tougher, Greg, than his thin frame might suggest. And that's what really stood out to me. I thought that he had a feel for defeating press coverage as well. You know, he's a South Florida kid. And most South Florida kids, as you probably know, they've got grit to them. They've got toughness to them. You have to when you play high school football in South Florida. Or
even youth football.
Probably, yeah. I'm sure you're right about that. I mean, you know, again, I made the point in my notes that I said he probably will never be a true high volume number one target, but I also thought that he could be far more than just a one note vertical receiver. But I really liked him. I knew nothing about him. Other than what he did at the combine when I started watching his tape, and obviously he ran a 4.28 40, which was the fastest by any wide receiver at the combine. You know, he ran in-breaking routes, which, you know, to me, that's a tell. When you see guys run a lot of in-breaking routes, slants, in-breakers, you know, you have to catch the ball in the middle of the field in the NFL. The game in the NFL is played much more in the middle of the field because of the hash marks, whereas the college game is played much more on the perimeter because of the hash marks. And I thought that he showed that toughness. He made some contested catches. I really liked his tape. I was truly surprised. And I'll say this. I didn't think there was much of a difference at all between Tyquan Thornton and Chris Olave, based on purely on tape study. Now, Chris Olave played at Ohio State, and the helmet logo often says a lot about the way people view players. And we'll see as time goes on. Like I said, maybe I'll be wrong, but I really like Tyquan Thornton's tape.
Yeah, I didn't know much. I watched him a little bit. Basically, you know, I'm not much of a draft Nick. I don't like to waste my time on, you know, since I'm covering one team on watching 300 guys when my team's going to pick like 8 or 9 of them. And I try to watch the top 3-ish rounds guys or take a look at guys at least. And I remember taking a look at Thornton early on and I kind of was like, oh, well, he's fast, he's tall, skinny. You know, I don't know. I don't see much. But then after the Patriots drafted him, obviously I went into the film and I watched multiple games on him. And I came out with the same conclusion that you did, Greg. You know, that I was surprised that there was more there than just what you heard out of a lot of draft guys after this pick was tall, skinny, small hands, small wrists, you know, fast, straight line guy. No, there's more than that on film. If you watch him, like you said, the in-breaking routes. That shows me something that the coaches and the quarterbacks show trust in the guy. He plucked the ball out of the air.
Yes,
he had a couple really nice boundary catches against, you know, tough coverage, even on some of the ones he didn't come up with. He fought hard for the ball, just didn't come with it at the last second, but he was right there. So I agree with you. There's more there. I don't know whether I would have taken him this high. I might have tried to sneak him into the third round, but there's something there with this kid, and it'll be interesting to see whether he pops or not, because I think he's sort of the litmus test on this draft class, and sort of we all know what the Patriots draft history is at the position. Hasn't been good.
And then again, I don't know any of these kids because I don't get to interview them. Obviously, George Pickens was there, but George Pickens supposedly has issues. I thought George Pickens, by the way, was the best receiver on tape in this draft. That was my point of view. I thought Pickens was 1 and Jameson Williams was 2. I actually thought Jahan Dotson could have been pretty close to that as well. But you know, Tyquan Thornton, to me, I will echo what you said because I watched him in great detail, as you can see by my evaluation. I mean, that's pretty detailed, as you can see, Greg. So, and as I said, I didn't know much about him at all. And, you know, like I thought that he had an 8-yard touchdown versus Oklahoma in the red zone on a fade route where he defeated press man really cleanly with an inside stick. And, you know, it's funny. I remember seeing the same play by another receiver who went high, and now I can't remember who it was. And people raved about, oh, he's such a great route runner. But Thornton did the exact same thing. But because, Greg, he was not thought of that way, the narrative, Thornton wasn't part of anyone's narrative. So no one said anything about him. But I thought the tape said all you need to know.
Yeah. And look, I've known you for years. I know the way you operate. So I'm not going to ask you, like, hey, which of these guys is going to have the more successful career? Because you and I both know it all depends on scheme, coaches, quarterback, all this other stuff.
Yeah.
But just, you know, there was a whole group of receivers taken there. Thornton, Pickens, Alec Pierce.
I love Alec Pierce.
Sky Moore as well.
Yeah, I mean, I really liked Alec Pierce. I was in the minority. I thought Alec Pierce and Drake London were very similar. Now, Drake London went 8th. I loved Alec Pierce. You know, I saw a comp for Alec Pierce after I did him, which I didn't think of, but I thought it was a very interesting one. And the comp was Jordy Nelson. And I think I loved Alec Pierce on tape. Again, you know me well enough to know everything I say is based on watching tape. And hey, I could be wrong. But like you said, there's going to be 10 variables that we don't know about right as we're speaking today.